Welcome back to Matter of Facts. I'm Phil Rabley. Today's going to be the first in a couple of videos that are going to come out. We're going to talk about gear. You call it militia gear, home defense gear, whatever you want to call it. This is the stuff that supports your rifle, your primary weapon system, and your handgun, which should be a secondary weapon system. I'm going to link a blog post into the show description. It'll talk about some more of these concepts. There's going to be an audio show that'll follow up all this, kind of tie it all together with a bow. But let's start with the support equipment because that's kind of the broadest topic and it has the most things to talk about in my personal opinion. This is a plate carrier. Those of you that are not new to this doesn't require a lot of explanation. For those of you that are stumbling into this for the first time, this requires some explanation. This is very simply a nylon vest with a couple of steel level 3 rifle rated plates in it. This gives me the ability to absorb, hopefully, multiple hits from handgun cartridges. This should shrug off 5.56. This should shrug off 308 Winchester. But this is about the lowest level of armor I can really recommend, honestly. Level 2, level 3A are also out there. They're a little bit lighter. They're more flexible if you're looking at the soft armor. But for my purposes, my way of thinking, if I ever get to the point where I'm going to dress up like this, it's because I'm in a situation where being the gray man and being stealth and nobody know what I'm doing doesn't apply anymore. We are officially in a situation where I need to have my maximum ability to protect my family. Hence, I'm going to wear this. This is going to give me the ability to cover up the heart, the lungs, the really important stuff, and hopefully give me a little bit more survivability in a fight. This doesn't make you RoboCop, doesn't make you Superman. Obviously, there's still a whole bunch of me. It's not covered by these plates. And even if I get hit, you can expect pain, you can expect some cracked ribs, you can expect, if you take a shot to this plate, you can expect it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt really bad. But it's going to give you, hopefully, that couple extra seconds you need to end the confrontation and then survive it, hopefully. But this, on top of just being an armor plate, is also the kind of the toolbox I put all my tools in. This is a magazine pouch. I've got 4 AK magazines in here. There's nothing fancy, steel, military surplus, low quantity STS that I verified works well in my firearm. It's the food that makes my primary weapon system work. I personally think at a bare minimum you ought to have 3 mags on you. I keep 4. In addition to that, I also have a med kit. This has a tourniquet, it has chest seals, it has a lot of things on, so we talked about in Medical 101 on my audio podcast. If y'all haven't reviewed it, there'll be a link in the show description to that. My sister, who's an EMT, and I went through this all up one side down the next and talked about everything she and I both recommended be in here, and I think the only thing I've added since then would be a couple of chest seals, which were her recommendation. I was deficient for not having them in there. They're in there now. But maybe we'll do a video episode on this at a later date to show you everything in there. In the meantime, check out Medical 101. We talk about everything that's in here. But this is your individual first aid. This is all the stuff I need if, God forbid, I get shot. There's a tourniquet, there's chest seals, there's abdominal pads, there's all kinds of stuff in this little bitty compartment. And best of all, I can rip this off of this vest pretty quickly if I need access to it. The reason it's right here and not back here is because I can't reach it very well in the back. I don't want to have to shed my armor, especially with one arm, if I get hurt. So, until such times I have another place to put this, maybe move it down to a belt system in the future, it's going to live right here where I have access to it. I don't run a lot of other stuff on my plate carrier. So you'll see some people that advocate having, say, their secondary weapon, their pistol mounted right here. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not going to debate the merits of it. I'm just going to say that I wasn't trained that way when I was in the military. If you wore sidearm, it stayed down here on the belt. It didn't go up here. It's a comfort thing for me. I might be completely wrong in that. Somebody's welcome to point me in the right direction if they want to, but I don't want my secondary weapon up here. I want it down here, and there's a reason for that we'll get into in just a moment that I already covered on the blog. But I don't run anything else up here. If I'm going to be out on my feet for a while, I might add a hydration bladder to the back, give myself a couple quarts of water. If I'm going to be out on an extended trip, I might opt for a small bag. On top of the hydration carrier, have some food in it. But this is pretty much it. I don't like to run a lot of junk on the plate carrier, mostly because if I take a hit center mass, the more stuff you have here, the more it's going to get hit along the way. So I like to have some of my ammunition, some of my weapon system off my plate carrier, which is why it's on the belt. Here I have a double mag head carrier, have 2 pistol mags from a backup weapon. I have a holster from a backup weapon, which is a 9mm double stack, 15 round magazine. It's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. Now, the whole reason behind having your plate carrier and having a belt, not putting everything up here, is twofold. First of all, I just actually got through weighing this whole thing. This getup, including the magazines and the belt, but no weapons, this is 30 extra pounds of gear. That may not sound like a lot, but go get 30 pounds of anything and put it in a backpack, put it on shoulders, and go walk around for a little while and tell me how fast you start to notice that extra weight pinching you in the lower back and working on your shoulders and everything else. For those of us that have served in the military, been overseas recently, did combat tours wearing body armor, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. This is more like for the civilians who haven't been there and done that. 30 extra pounds, you'll feel eventually. Depending on how good a shape you're in, you might feel it in 5 minutes or 5 hours, but you're going to feel it. So any weight that I can take off this plate carrier, put down on the belt, takes weight off my shoulders, off my lower back, puts it on my hips. It spreads the weight out. It takes the strain from up here and spreads it out amongst my body. It makes it a little more comfortable. Obviously, I'm not talking about taking a lot of weight off plate carriers. We're talking about a handgun and 2 mags, but ounces make pounds. The other reason for having a belt and a plate carrier, or we'll talk about a chest rig in a second, is because I want to have a 2-tiered system. This, minus this, because this is important, but again, I can rip this off the plate carrier if I need to. This is body armor to give me extra survivability in fight. These are mags for my primary firearm. If the primary is out of ammunition, it's useless to me. And if I'm in a situation where I favor speed mobility from firepower, aka I'm running for my life, and I'm in a situation where standing and fighting is no longer an option, I have to run. If I decide to, I can ditch the plate carrier, I can shed everything off of here, drop the rifle, and come back to what's on my belt. That's not going to leave me. I have a sidearm, 1 mag in the weapon, 30 extra rounds and 2 mags on the other side. Eventually I'm going to try to miniaturize this a little bit, see if I can't put some version of it on my belt and then have this maybe on the back of the plate carrier, but for the moment it lives right here and I can rip it off if I need to take my med kit with me. But that allows me to shed substantial weight. I was on the scale right before this episode because I want to get numbers for you. This whole getup is 30 pounds. Drop this and go to the chest rig I'm going to show you here in a second, and the weight goes down to 14 pounds. So that's 16 pounds I can download, keeping 4 mags, putting them in the chest rig, but just losing the armor plates. And that's a substantial amount of weight. Doesn't sound like it, but it is. And then if we're talking about me coming all the way down to just this, we're talking about adding 3 or 4 pounds to my base weight. So this is an option. This is what I think is a good idea. I'm going to cut here for just a second, and I'm going to show you the chest rig so I can give you another option, something else to think about. Now, chest rigs. A chest rig, in layman's terms, is some device you'd wear on your chest or your belly, depending on how you like to run it. I like mine a little bit higher. But it's something you're going to run that's going to allow you to carry your gear without having to add the extra weight of a set of plates. In this case, for any of y'all that served in Vietnam or might be familiar with the Vietnam War, this should look kind of familiar. This is actually a Chinese chest rig. It's meant for AK magazines because I have an AK. This really works for me. It's been slightly modified. These originally came with hook and loop fasteners. It had a little wooden dowel here and this wrapped around it, but it was a pain in the rear and to get open really quick with one hand. So this has all been taken off and just turned into Velcro. Modern technology. But it gives me the same abilities as the body armor. If I need a reload, I pull this open, reach in here, take my magazine out, slap it in the weapon, and I keep going. Originally, I modified these grenade pouches on the sides. These are both, they have Velcro as well. This one's actually been sewn in half to make 2 smaller compartments. They'll fit pistol mags, although I now run everything on my belt. But consider these admin pouches. I could drop a couple of tourniquets in here, a little bit of medical equipment in this one. But this gives me the ability to have 90% of the same gear as I have in the plate carrier for 16 pounds less gross weight. And 16 pounds less weight matters. If you're going to be doing a patrol, if you're going to be out in the woods, if you're going to be, heck, trekking mountains, the plate carrier becomes a liability because of the weight and because you don't think 16 extra pounds on your upper body makes a lot of difference, but as you spend time hopping it around, it will sap your energy. And more importantly, it's going to affect your balance because you're talking about 16 extra pounds way up here high. This is a lot less weight. This is also not as inflexible as some of the more involved plate carriers are. The ones that have the side armor and they have the cummerbund. I don't get into those personally, but they do restrict mobility a little bit. This doesn't restrict mobility at all. This is the lightest weight option I can think of to be able to carry the gear you need to and maintain full mobility and have the least amount of weight possible. So, but the other benefit of this over plate carrier is, you talk about a plate carrier and armor, I mean, without all the mag pouches and all the extra stuff on them, you're talking about $160 to $200, and you can certainly spend more than that on armor. I'll include a couple of links to some of the more budget-minded ones, the ones that I personally favor, but you just do a Google search and you can spend your savings, what your savings account will tolerate if you want to. These Chinese chest rigs, you can pick up on Amazon, I think $30 last time I looked, and I'll verify that. I'll look on Amazon and find a good link and put y'all in touch with these if that's what y'all are looking for. But these are cheap, and they work. And I mean, heck, they work just fine for the NVA and for the Viet Cong when they were fighting our guys 40 years ago, and they're just as durable today. So I would venture to say, if you're in the market for cheap gear, or if you call it affordable gear, something like these older Chinese chest rigs are really hard to beat. I know you can get these that are actually configured for stripper clips, like what you would use to load, say, an SKS, and those pouches are wider and actually will accommodate like 308 magazines for an M1A, or they'll accommodate 7.62x51 magazines for a FAL or a G3. I don't see any reason why you couldn't fit a standard AR-15 magazine in these. I don't have one to check, but I mean, but just based on the dimensions, they seem like they would fit reasonably well. So I would say that if you're looking on low-end gear, you don't have a lot of money to spend, but you want to get something in the toolbox, look at one of these. If you are looking for a lighter weight option than a full plate carrier, look at these. It also comes down to the philosophy of use, though, because if you're going to be on long-range patrol, you're not expecting trouble. You're not going to an area where you're going to have immediate direct action and you're going to be in a firefight and survivability is your biggest concern. You could be in movement for 12 to 15 plus hours and you may never see anybody. Do you want to carry 16 extra pounds of steel strapped to your chest for a maybe and pay for that 16 extra pound steel every single step? Or do you make the decision to go to something like this that's lighter weight and gives you certainly more comfort, but also just, I mean, you'll be better rested and better able to actually fight when you get to the fight? That's a decision for you to make. What's your environment like? Me personally, I live in a suburban area, so the likelihood of me having to kind of, go hopping through the woods is fairly limited. If I get into a situation where it's civil disobedience or I have to protect my family, the plate carrier is probably going to be what I opt for because I'll be here at the home and the trouble's coming to me. You might not be in that situation. Especially if you're in a bug out situation, this thing can roll up and store into a fairly small area. The plate carrier can't. It's got steel plates in it. But hopefully I've given you something to think about. I'll link the blog in here and let y'all read that article. It kind of lays my thoughts out in a little more concise manner. And there'll be a couple more videos coming up in the near future. We're going to have one discussing rifles and my thoughts on those, and handguns and my thoughts on those. I can't really talk about shotguns because I'm not a shotgun kind of person. Just never don't have a lot of experience with them, and I'm not going to preach something that I don't have any experience with. But keep your eyes open on the channel. Look at the blog, listen to the audio podcast. I've got several things that are all moving at the same time, and they all relate to each other. So if you check out the blog, check out the Facebook page, check out the YouTube channel, which you're doing, and check out the audio podcast, you'll kind of get all of my thoughts in different ways. But I appreciate y'all's time. If y'all have any questions, please hit the comment box. Check the show description. I'll have some links in there for how you can support the show and where all you can see matter of facts. And I'll talk to y'all later.